Welcome to the GCN Tech Show. This week, it's just me, but don't worry because we've got a ton of great tech to talk about. So let's get started. Before we do though, if you haven't already subscribed to GCN Tech, make sure you do subscribe and make sure you also hit that notification bell because that way you'll find out whenever one of our videos goes live. What's hot in tech this week then? Well, this is very hot news. Super hot, incredibly good news in my view, and that is that the UCI has officially sanctioned disc brakes for use in road racing. So up until now, anyone who was using disc brakes was using them as part of a 4-year test period that the UCI had put in place to judge the feasibility and safety of the brakes in racing. But with this announcement, that test ends 1 year early and discs are officially sanctioned. Over the course of the 3-year test, it's fair to say there's quite a degree of pushback from the pro peloton, especially towards the start of it. That's because they question the safety, with some injuries, really quite nasty looking injuries, being attributed to the use of disc brakes in the peloton. Following an open letter from Francisco Ventoso of Movistar, the UCI banned disc brakes in the pro peloton with immediate effect.
Yeah, Ventoso had received some particularly nasty and deep wounds to his leg after a crash at the race in Paris-Roubaix, which he says were caused by coming into contact with a disc brake.
And they also perhaps questioned their practicality. Many of them said that they could stop and brake and descend really quite well enough with rim brakes first of all and were reluctant to change. And then, if you needed a really fast wheel change, you had people asking how quick that would be with through axles on a disc brake bike compared to quick releases on a rim brake bike. I don't know, maybe that's a matter of a bit of practice makes perfect there as well. But increasingly, the riders have, fair to say, accepted disc brakes, and some high-profile riders have actually begun to use them in many races too. Plus, clearly the UCI with this announcement is happy with the brake safety.
Daniel, we asked the pros a couple of years ago what they thought about disc brakes in the peloton, and since then there's been a bit of change, I think, personally. What's your thoughts on that?
I try some bikes with disc, and the technology is super. It's fantastic. The disc brake makes, for sure, in the rain especially, the brake safer and stable, and you have the same feeling, you know, you can brake everywhere.
The bit that excites me the most about this announcement is that with it, the riders, teams, and more importantly, bike and component manufacturers can go all in on disc brakes for road bikes. That's because one of their biggest marketing vehicles, which is the pro peloton, can now ride them at every race with no risk of them potentially not passing the test period and therefore not being used. Great news for all of us because we'll see things in product development, so things that will help us to change wheels more quickly. And I reckon we might even see on some races riders from every team using disc brakes. In fact, I think we'll see the whole peloton using disc brakes at some races. I want your opinion on that one though. So we've got a poll which you can vote on up there, which is when will we see the first race where everyone uses disc brakes? We've got 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or I don't know. And if you don't know, make sure you comment below with what you think. We're right in the middle of Road Race National Championship season at the moment, and we wouldn't normally mention race results on the Tech Show. That's more the domain of the GCN Racing News Show and of course the GCN Show, but we thought that Johnny Brown of Hagen's Action Berman, who's just 21 years of age, just won the USA Pro Road Nationals, deserved a bit of a special mention. That's because he won the race on an aluminium bike. And to my knowledge, that must be the first time, or the only time that's happened in quite a number of years, if you think the Pro Peloton has made pretty much the wholesale switch to carbon fibre bikes. And I think, again, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, of course, the Specialized Alley Sprint aluminium bikes that the Hagen's Berman Action team are using this year is one of the first times that a Pro or Pro Continental team has used an aluminium bike for quite a number of years. If you do know exactly how many years, comment below. If you couldn't tell from the title, this week's weekly tech talking point is all about mountain bike tech, which is fair enough because we are very good mates with the guys at GMBN Tech and EMBN. But what I was wondering is instead of what us road cyclists could take from our mountain bike cousins in tech terms, what could we maybe give them? If you think about it, some of the biggest tech innovations, some of the things that are used by road cyclists literally on almost every bike, came from mountain bikes. So things like disc brakes, tubeless tyres, one-bike group sets, and also the first aluminium bike ever was a mountain bike. There's a lot that we've taken. Another bit of mountain bike tech that we have just started to borrow, but I think it has really quite huge applications, especially if you're riding gravel or riding on rough roads, is a clutch rear mech. Now Shimano actually released its first ever clutch rear mech for road group sets back at the start of the year. What a clutch in a rear mech does is it just prevents the chain slapping around so much. So it reduces noise, which can be a bit annoying. It reduces damage to your frame. And also, it also reduces, importantly, the chance of your chain dropping off when you're putting the power down on a cobbled climb or on the Arenberg Forest perhaps. Shimano's rear mech was the Ultegra RX rear mech, which incidentally also uses shadow derailleur technology, which Shimano first introduced on mountain bikes. That isn't to say that us road cyclists have given mountain bikers nothing though, that would be wrong. Oh no, the widespread use of carbon fibre first appeared on road bikes. So things like carbon fibre frames, carbon fibre rims and carbon fibre handlebars. Mountain bikers can't have us, road cyclists, to thank for that. Carbon fibre's use in mountain biking is so widespread now that there are even downhill races being won on carbon fibre bikes, which 10, 15 years ago probably seemed quite a way off. Not forgetting, of course, power meters, which without a doubt have transformed training for mountain bikers who like to compete, and if you're a bit of a stats geek, I think power meters are always a good shout. Finally, the one, maybe the biggest gift that we've given mountain bikers, apart from John Tomac's drop handlebars that he used to race the downhill races on, Lycra. Cross-country riders are all over it. Downhillers, however, are not allowed to wear it anymore. That's because the aerodynamic advantage of Lycra was deemed to be so much that they stopped everyone using it. But if you look at some downhill riders now, they're actually using tighter and tighter baggy clothing without it being Lycra. And thinking of Lycra, that brings me on to what could be the main bit of tech that mountain bikers could borrow from us road cyclists. And while most mountain biking is relatively low speed and in many cases relatively sheltered if you're riding in the woods, I think that aerodynamics, especially for the racing mountain bikers, could be the way to go. Take helmets, for example. Clearly a open-face time trial helmet is not going to be the thing you want for a downhill race, but if you look at downhill helmets, they look really quite unaerodynamic, and the top downhill riders regularly reach speeds of 40 miles an hour plus, sometimes even 50 to 60 miles an hour if it's a really, really fast course. So could downhillers gain split seconds, which is often what their races are decided by in any case, by having helmets like, for example, MotoGP helmets? Moving from helmets to frames, like most mountain bike frames don't appear as though they're designed with aerodynamics in mind. And that's fine, because like we said, mountain biking is often lower speed, but the fact is, particularly in downhill, when you're reaching those really high speeds, every second does count. So by making a slightly more aerodynamic mountain bike frame, sure, you've still got someone on, I don't know, maybe even 80 centimetre bars riding like that, but if their bike is marginally faster, maybe they'll be more likely to win. So with the front end of mountain bikes being, so wide and having so much kit on them, basically, when you think of suspension forks and disc brakes and stuff like that, maybe that does cancel aerodynamics out slightly. But what we're saying is maybe a slight advantage is just fine in most of those racing settings. Another point is aerodynamic wheels. And when I say aerodynamic wheels, it's easy to think of really deep section wheels. And even on road bikes and gravel bikes, most riders, if they're riding a really rough technical race, if you think something like Paris-Roubaix or Flanders, will not go for the deepest section wheels on offer from their team sponsors. So we're not talking about deep section wheels, but some lower profile wheels on the road are still designed with aerodynamics in mind, because even if you're going up a climb on a road bike, those guys are still climbing at 20 miles an hour or 30 k's an hour in some cases. So aerodynamics absolutely is a factor, as is rotating weight. So low profile aerodynamic wheels are the way to go. Maybe some aerodynamics on downhill wheels, cross-country wheels, if it comes down to a sprint, if it comes down to 0.1 of a second, that would have made the difference. So you've had my thoughts on what I think we could lend to our mountain bike cousins, but I want to know yours. Make sure you comment down below. As road cyclists, we've borrowed so much great tech from mountain bikers. Tech which has literally transformed how we are able to ride our bikes, where we're able to ride our bikes, how our bikes are made, the cost of our bikes. What can we give them back, apart from Lycra? Let me know down in the comments. More tech news now, and if you haven't already liked this video, make sure you do hit that thumbs up button. First up in our more tech news section, Cube has released a brand new time trial bike. Yeah, that's right, it has many of the features that you'd expect to see on a top level time trial bike about to be debuted at the Tour de France by Cube's team Wanty Group Gobert. So it has, for example, an integrated stem that sits in line with the top tube, but it also has two pretty unique features. So first up, it has a split head tube, which acts like an aerofoil when riding into a headwind, and also acts to stop negative effects of crosswinds, which can be really quite negative if you're riding a deep front wheel, a disc rear wheel, and you have your hands on your aero extensions. Quite difficult to style that one out sometimes. And as well as that, it also has, it's only going to be available in disc brakes. It's one of the very first manufacturers to do that, not the absolute first, but definitely the start of a trend, and again, linking into our very first feature in this week's show, which was the fact that the UCI has made disc brakes legal for all racing. I've been having a look on Kickstarter, which I quite enjoy because there are some truly weird and sometimes wonderful things there. And I found this. This is the Helix bike. The unique thing about the Helix bike is that it steers with both the front and rear wheel. I've got no idea exactly how it does it, but it looks a hell of a lot of fun. I would love to try it myself, but I think to really push it and see if we can go as impressive as the guys in the Kickstarter video over on the Helix page, we'd have to give it to someone like Blake over at GMB, or maybe even Lloydie, because Lloydie's quite good at wheelies. Our very last bit of tech news, and that is that Virginia Tech University and the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety are collaborating on a revamped helmet testing protocol. Now, it says that it is going to be better and take into account more real-world injuries and situations than current testing protocols. So these are current official testing protocols rather than any tests that manufacturers might put the helmets through, since the current protocols only take into account damage from skull fractures, whereas this test is going to take into account the softer injuries, if you will. So things like concussions, traumatic brain injuries that may not necessarily involve a skull fracture, and also impacts kind of on the side of the helmet and the back of the helmet rather than just on the top of your head. Really interesting stuff, and they've only tested 30 helmets so far, so we do look forward to finding out a bit more when they've tested a few more different helmets, but better head protection is great news for all cyclists, so yeah, definitely looking forward to finding out more on this one. With John away, and given the fact that the UCI has just announced disc brakes are okay to race on, and the lead story of the show, which is really about mountain bike tech, I thought I would put a bit of a left field suggestion up on the wall of fame this week. And it's a whole bike. Not like any bike, it is the mountain bike. It's a very specific mountain bike. It is the Breezer No. 1, which was the first ever purpose-built mountain bike. Now, it was built by mountain bike pioneer Joe Breeze. So Joe Breeze used to take part in the repack races, which went down Mount Tamalpais in California. And those bikes were originally done on clunkers, so beach cruiser bikes, basically. They just weren't up to the demands of the riding that Breeze and his friends were putting them through. So Joe Breeze went and built the very first purpose-built bike, the Breezer No. 1, which included supports from the frame down to the dropout to prevent the frame from folding. It had riser bars and brake levers borrowed from motorbikes. Like we said, mountain bike tech has had such an influence on all bike tech, not just mountain bike tech, so I think this is a fair shout. If you have a nomination for the Wall of Fame next week, tell me down in the comments, and let me know if you agree with this one as well. I will be there, I'll reply to a few. Giveaway time now, and we've got two very lucky winners from our Oakley unboxing giveaway. They are Benoit Depothis and Vera Elinik. Both of you, if you are watching this right now, make sure you get in touch because we would love to get your Oakley swag, as seen in the unboxing video last week, sent out to you. If you still want to win something, we have another giveaway going on right now. It's the Zip 404 Firecrest wheels. To enter that one, just click the link, which we'll put down in the description. Bike of the week now, and last week you all voted on Corin Rivera's Giant versus Richie Port's BMC, and the winner is Richie Port with 62% of the vote. Corin Rivera actually got 37% of the vote, so there is 1% missing somewhere. But anyway, on to this week's Bike of the Week. And since we're getting so close to the Tour, and since I love the Tour, it's actually the reason I got into cycling, I thought we should vote on a couple of favourite pro bikes from last year's race, because there were some seriously cool ones there. We'll be checking more out this year, of course. So you can vote on Mark Cavendish's custom Cervelo or Greg Van Avermaet's custom gold decaled BMC. Vote up there. And also let me know your favourite pro bike ever on GCN. Tell me down in the comments. Right, bike vault time now. As you have doubtless noticed, we have no John, it's only me, so make sure you get involved in the comments and let me know what you think of the bikes in the bike vault. And also, if you want to submit your bike to the bike vault, the email address is on screen now, and we'll stick it in the video description as well, so check that out. Gotta get the bell. First up, this is from Kai, and it is their Salsa Veya. And here it is touring in Narvik in northern Norway. I like that. I think that's really cool. It's super nice. I'll do a quiet super nice because the bell is quite loud. After Kai, let's go for Barnabas from Kent here in the UK, and it is a picture of his Pinarello FP team on the Brighton beach. Looking very nice. It's another super nice. Two super nice photos. Hurts my ears. Next up, and this is from Patrick, and Patrick has said, having seen the Peugeot Fold-Up e-bike last episode, he thought he'd send you us another, somewhat more modern Peugeot. This is a Peugeot RSR01 carbon fibre racing bike. Looks very nice. It's at a stunning view, so it's Boar's Head Lookout in the Blue Mountains. Never heard of it, but looks a very nice spot. And I haven't seen a modern Peugeot bike for a number of years. So for me, that's another super nice, just because the view's super nice too. One more? Two more. One more. No, two more. So this is from Aaron Griffiths, and this is his Ritter Ace, custom built. Nice bike against the wall shop, very clean. It's another super nice. I'm just too generous this week. Next up, last one, as I said. So this is a shot of two canyons. Love it. It is from the Camina region north of Portugal. And it is a bike ride of 110 kilometers, has 2,200 meters of elevation gain, which sounds frankly brutal. And again, it looks like a stunning view. They are both very nice bikes. Everything has been super nice this week. We want to see your super nice bikes. Make sure you send them into the email address on screen or in the video description below. Well, that is about it for another week of the GCN Tech Show. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, make sure you share it, make sure you tell us what you thought down in the comments. And if you haven't already subscribed to GCN Tech, what are you doing? Make sure you subscribe too and hit the notification bell so you find out when each video goes live. Before we go though, I want to give a shout out to these. So we have some very limited edition yellow GCN t-shirts available now in the GCN shop. A link will be on screen at the end of the video and down in the description. Once these t-shirts are gone, they're gone, and they are super limited. So if you'd like to get one, make sure you head there now. What's coming up on the channel this week then? Well, tomorrow, so on Friday, is Fabio Aru's Pro Bike. On Saturday, we've got an unboxing this week with our partners and friends at Toe Peak. On Sunday, we've got a tyre pressure geek edition. On Monday, we have a maintenance video, of course. Fast forward to Wednesday, where it's the tech clinic, where John will be answering all of your very difficult bike tech questions. On Thursday, there's going to be another episode of the GCN Tech Show. Before you go, make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you want to check out another video, I can thoroughly recommend this one from Emma at the Women's Tour, where she finds out what's most important to the riders there about their bike setup. That is right there. And like I said, if you want to get your hands on a very limited edition yellow t-shirt, the link's on screen.